Hey guys, welcome back to Ultimate S&S. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. It is now Thursday. It's about 102 degrees outside. It is hot. So I've been working outside in the garden a little bit, trying to get some more areas tilled in. Where that old corn had played out, we're going to put some greens in and things like that. But the purpose of the video today is it is almost too late for those who don't realize that. If you go to the store and you see the prices, not just of the food, not just of things like toilet paper, paper towels, the household needs are going up. Understand that all is planned. That is not because of, any kind of shortage or anything like that, other than the shortages that are being created by the powers that be. So I think it's important that people realize if you are not preparing, and I'm not talking about just buying some canned food. Yes, you need to go out and you need to buy food now. You need to get as many supplies as you can, but you also need to be focusing on getting to a point where you don't need to be going to the grocery store 2-3 times a week or even once a week. If you can get to a point where you're producing your own stuff at your house, that's going to help you a lot. It's going to help you save money. It's going to cut back on the fuel cost as well. So I don't know if you've seen the fuel cost. The fuel prices are skyrocketing. I mean, it is insane. It is over $5 for a gallon of the cheapest grade you can get, 87 octane. That's insane for that type of a deal. But, I think some states have 83 octane. Unfortunately, I've not seen that down here in this area, but I imagine it's probably pretty close to $5. And you start looking at diesel prices, we're pushing $6 for a gallon of diesel now. So it's a good thing we stocked up a little bit here. We always try to stock up for hurricane season, not just on food, but on fuels and different things like that as well. If you're stocking long-term on your fuels, you need to make sure that you're getting octane boosts and things like that for your gasoline. It's going to help keep that gas fresh. You also need to look at your diesel. You don't want to put octane boost in diesel, though. You want to use what they call a cetane boost. And they have a thing that you can pour in your diesel if you're in cold climates that keeps it from gelling and different things like that. So you really need to be not just stocking, but thinking about the long-term ramifications of keeping fuel or whatever it is that you're keeping. If you're keeping food and things, you don't want to put it in a room that's got an open window and have it where the sun's directly shining on that. Those need to be placed in places with controlled humidity. It needs to be dark in those rooms as well. For the longest term shelf storage, from what I've been reading on Google, according to Google, is you want your food and stuff stored somewhere between 67 to 90 degrees. It should not get hotter than that. All right. And it should not be in direct sunlight. It should be in a shaded area, a dark room, a closet, under a bed, something like that. That's going to keep it cool. It's going to keep it where it's not getting moist and your cans are going to start rusting and stuff. A lot of the stuff that we have on this channel as far as the chickens and the quail and how to do your gardens, the mealworms and stuff like that. I hope that helps you out with stuff. One thing that I'm noticing within the community, and it's not just this channel, but they're getting hit with strikes. And if you mention things that they don't agree with, they're going to take your videos down, and eventually that will affect your monetizations and stuff like that as well, unfortunately. But hey, that's never been what this channel is about. I think that's one of the reasons why the subscribers love this channel that we have so much and are so vocal within the community as well. Understand that, I'm going to continue to put out the same type of videos I've always done. That is who I am. I will not suppress what I feel is truth. I will not suppress it down. I will not be silenced type of a deal. That's just who I am. I've always been that way. What I know to be fact, what I know to be truth is exactly what it says in God's word. And I don't care about any political agendas or anything like that. I will always speak truth on this channel. And I hope you appreciate that as much as I appreciate the comments and the further, explanations of how that has helped or how holding on to truth and having that foundation truth has helped you in your life as well. That's always great content to have with the conversations that go back and forth within our chat, guys. But what we're looking at right now, we're looking at several different things. So one of the things that we've seen, and apparently they had pulled the link down, it's giving some sort of a not found 404 type deal or whatever. It was originally posted up a community tab, but it was talking about the Air Force was wanting to try some new AI systems and some new drone technology that they had to protect our schools and stuff from these types of catastrophes that seem to be happening in them. Understand that that's not going to just stop there at the school grounds. That's going to eventually get implemented and rolled out across communities, across cities and towns, and eventually the whole country. That is what the purpose is. We live in a society today where we can't seem to make up our own minds and we can't figure out how to handle situations. So we type it into a computer. We're all guilty of that. And it gives us an answer. And that's basically what they're doing now on the upper levels of government. They're using AI technology to try and help with things, how to handle that, how to get, different types of stuff to make you follow the narrative is basically what it is. So I would encourage each of you, don't follow the narrative. Stick with what you know is truth. That's what's going to help you. That is what's going to save you in the end. We live in a lifestyle where today, if you had told me back when I was 20 or even in my teens that society would look the way that it does today, I wouldn't have seen it. I would have argued, no, that'll never happen. There's too many believers in the country and stuff. But what we see is this narrative being pushed, a narrative of sex before marriage and things like that, sexual immorality. And sexual immorality is an umbrella phrase that covers anything that is outside of the God-oriented marriage. So if you fall into that, be careful with how you're living your life. Maybe it's one of them things where you need to make some hard decisions and understand those decisions can be hard. We have all faced that at some point. But what you have to determine is what type of a person do you want to be? And I want to be a person that is bold for what they believe in. And I will always speak what I believe. And I hope that reflects within our videos. But went outside today, was able to get a bunch of tomatoes out. Unfortunately, I didn't bring them in for the video. Like I said, it's just hot. You get outside, you just kind of turn your brain off for a minute and just go through the motions to get stuff done. All the chickens are looking good. We're getting about 3 eggs a day. On average, that's pretty average on it. Sometimes we'll get that 4. And occasionally a 5th one. I don't know why that little hen that I have, my brown leghorn, is already laying. Maybe it's because the other birds are laying or something. She lays some weird shaped eggs. Really small eggs, and she's actually about 4 weeks out from even starting to lay by the calendar. So I guess they all lay whenever they're going to, but you're going to run into that not with just chickens but also quail. So anytime you watch a quail video, most people, the common question is how long before they start laying their eggs, and the most common response is between 8 and 10 weeks. That has not been my experience. I have raised, butchered, I'm guessing probably somewhere around 200 quail or so already since I began this process. And all my quail start laying around week 13. Sometimes you'll get that week 12 where it might lay an odd egg. But when they really come into laying, it's around week 13. So it takes about 13 weeks to get them quail laying. But once they start laying, man, they lay every day, every single day. And once in a while, you might have a bird that misses it, but you're not going to really realize that, especially when you have the number of quail that we have out here. So when I did some counting, and we currently have about 37 quail, and I'm going to reduce that down a little bit to put some more meat in the freezer, and I'm going to get some more eggs put in the incubator to start building that supply back up for winter time as well. As far as the chickens and stuff, I currently have 2 roosters. You really only need 1. And if Hank continues to charge defense like he does, I don't know what his problem is, but he's going to end up becoming crock pot. You're going to hit the crock pot, that's what he's going to be. And we'll move Stan over because he's a lot sweeter rooster than what this Americana is. And everyone that I had read the reviews on these chickens said the Americanas were the best roosters, that they're very friendly. That has not been my experience with him. Now, I've not been spurred by him, but I do make sure I keep an eye on him. And I even have a little piece of tin that I keep as a little barrier to make sure put between me and him. And he has popped that barrier a couple times here in the last week. So that's telling me that he's kind of doesn't really want you in there, but understand that's what those chickens are for, is for eggs. So if he's got a problem with me collecting eggs, then I don't have any problem with turning him into some kind of a chicken and dumpling or something like that. So that's just how it is. But as for right now, we're just going to wait and see. It could be because they're coming into those times and seasons where he's getting older and he's having a lot of those type of hormonal changes and stuff, and that can make them a little aggressive right off, but that usually kind of slows down. So we'll just have to play it by ear for the next month or so and see how he does. But what I will tell you is I'm not going to deal with a rooster where you have to go in and shield yourself when you're collecting eggs. That's not what it's supposed to be. So it's telling me that I kept the wrong rooster. I should have kept Peaches and got rid of the rest of them. But I wanted one of those real pretty roosters with the green tails and stuff. And he's nice in that way, but in another way, he's kind of got an attitude. So we're just going to deal with that as a case by case basis when it comes to the chickens. I think that chickens and bees, while they are totally different, they're kind of similar in some ways, where you have a hive mentality that follows the temperament of the queen. If you have bees that swarm you anytime you get near, it's typically because you have a very aggressive queen. And if you live in this area, you need to make sure you don't have an Africanized queen. For those who don't know what that is a killer bee. So you don't want to have those Africanized honeybees breeding in your stuff. My bees seem like they're doing very well. I think with my chickens, when the Buff Orpington was kind of leading the flock, they were all a lot nicer. They were a lot more social when you would go in. And now with this new rooster, he kind of, I don't know, man, he affects the flock where they don't even like to come up when you're throwing food out. So that could be from just watching when I've come in, taking a hint, and did not come back. That could be they're realizing that something's up and they're missing a few numbers. And that kind of stuff happens too. But I think right now, for everything that's outside that's going on, everything seems to be running very well. It's well-oiled machine, I guess you could say. The garden is looking really good. We got a lot of cantaloupe plants that are sprouting up. We showed that in a video earlier this week. We have a lot of tomato plants. I've got some sprouting out there in the yard. I also put some in a utility shower to keep those seeds sprouting. So I imagine they'll sprout here in a couple days. It takes about a week to 9 days sometimes for those to pop. And for those who don't realize what that means, when the seed opens up, they call it a seed pop. So when they typically pop open and start sprouting, it's a week to 9 days, sometimes a little longer. Depends on your temperatures. But everything's looking really well out there. We got a lot of new zucchini plants, and those are looking fantastic out there. They're not very large, as you could see in the previous videos and stuff, but I will encourage you in the days ahead, if you have not started prepping, it's time to get started. If you have been prepping and you've been prepping for a while, don't stop. Do not stop prepping. You don't want to stop right now. You do not want to stop buying food. You want to continue to buy food. You want to go out and you want to get as much food as you can right now. And the reason for that is the prices are going up. So even if it's not from a mentality of stocking for an SHTF event or something like that, you need to be thinking at it as from this aspect. If you have a grocery bill and you live on a budget, you're not going to be able to get your budget fulfilled at the same pricing you used to with your groceries. It's going to continue to go up. Most grocery bills in the area have doubled. Some have tripled, depending on the type of stuff that you buy. That's just talking with people randomly through the store. Everyone is seeing the prices. Of course, everyone has their ideas of why this is. And then, of course, there's the news media outlets' narratives on why this is. And then there's our country's narratives on why this is and stuff like that. But what we need to understand is the narrative doesn't matter so much. What matters is the response that we take, the response and how we apply our lives into making a way where we're not going to run out of food. Understand, when you have governments around the world and you have a lot of these things like the United Nations and stuff, and they're saying that we're going to be seeing severe food scarcity and that we're going to actually be having food crises in 2022, and that there's actually going to be almost famine type events here in our country. That's not including the rest of the world. That's in our country. We are a heavy developed country when it comes to we should not be seeing these types of food shortages, but we are. So what can we do? Well, understand, if you're growing your own food, not only are you putting food in your own pocket or in your own pantries and things and in your family's bellies, but also you're creating a situation for the family members or for the people that are out there that don't have property to grow food. You're making the availability, what's there, a little bit more for them. So if you have the ability to grow your own food, and you have the physical shape to grow your own food, and you choose not to, that kind of makes you part of the problem and not really the solution at this point. But I would continue to buy food. We grow it, we buy what we need and things like that. Understand there's certain types of food that I cannot produce here. Like I don't do pork, I don't deal with pigs and stuff like that. When hunting season comes in, you can do your hunting for your deer and stuff as well. But or squirrel, or whatever part of the country you're from. I think up in some of the northern states, they kind of don't realize that you can eat squirrels. It's just a tree rat to them. But actually, you can eat squirrel. Now, I would never eat a rat. I would never eat any kind of ground squirrel. It's too rat-like for me. But that's just my opinion. But there's a lot of people that's out west. They eat those belding ground squirrels and stuff like that. They're basically kind of a prairie dog type of a deal. I personally, I won't do it, mainly because they potentially could carry fleas that could have the bubonic plague on it. There have been a few cases out west. It's nothing too major right now, but over the last few years and stuff, maybe a couple outbreaks. And typically it's because people were out hunting that type of stuff, so, and got bit by those fleas that carry those diseases supposedly. I don't know. That's what the reports say. So, but I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. I'm going to hop off here. I got a few more things I got to get taken care of, and then I am done for the day. Have a wonderful day.